right, and welcome to Walk the Plank, week 36 of Walk the Plank. In fact, the podcast that takes a deep dive into the week that was, and will preview the upcoming week as well in Perry Athletics. I'm joined by, as my guest, or it's not our guest today, we'll get to Cameron in a second, my co-host, Gene Winters. Thanks for being here, Gene, as always.
Yeah, another exciting week, postseasons, and more of them starting and continuing. And, of course, you guys had the big golf outing last weekend, which I'm sure was a nice success here for the athletic department.
Yeah, the boosters did a great job putting that together. We had 23, 24 foursomes, about 100 people out there supporting the booster club. The weather was, okay, but as it's been this spring, and we'll get into that a little bit with Cameron here and with our discussion on track and softball and baseball, it's been a struggle this spring with the weather. I actually saw a thing on Fox 8 this morning, said it was our fourth wettest spring, April 1 to May 22, which we just finished yesterday, in the history of Northeast Ohio. So that's not great. That's really, and of course that's when we're playing all of our April 1 to May 22 pretty much sums up our season. So, and as I mentioned, we're joined by Cameron Palmer here. Cameron is a reporter for the CVC Athletics, Ohio Varsity, Geauga Maple Leaf, does it all. You'll see him there at a lot of events with his phone going. He's got his Hawaiian shirts on. He is, you won't miss him in those Hawaiian shirts. So he does a great job, though, covering things for the CVC. Steve Hare does a great job behind the scenes. These are guys that you probably wouldn't know, but Steve runs our website, and then Cameron does a lot of reporting for us. Steve does as well, but Cam's out there sort of in the nitty gritty. He's at every event that he possibly can be at. He was at Fairview Park last week for CVC track. He was at Perry for CVC track. He was here last night for district track. So we'll start there, Cam. Thanks for being here, by the way. Appreciate your time.
No problem, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. And, last night, weather, again, was a story, unfortunately, and you and I were out there sort of, complaining about it. Everybody was complaining about it. We were in winter coats. It's May 22nd, and you were in your Hawaiian shirt.
Absolutely.
You were freezing. I was in a winter coat, and but it was misty. It was off and on rain. Not a great day for kids to compete, but overall, what was your takeaway from yesterday at the districts? Then we can sort of work our way back to CVC and the track season that's been.
Well, from what I saw, it was just kind of business as usual for a lot of our CVC athletes competing.
Yeah.
Obviously, Emily taking first in shot put with a record throw of, it was 43-10.5
right
for that district meet. And, Kara Deister from West Geauga wins the high jump district championship.
Yep.
The Chagrin Falls boys and girls 4x100 team win the district championship. All punching their tickets to regionals next week. That was just kind of business as usual. Exactly what I expected out of our CVC teams. And there's a lot of really great competitors out there. And I was at the long jump pin. Armani and Traxton Richards were competing, but 20-foot jumps weren't good enough yesterday because some of these guys were out there jumping 21s, 22s, where only the top four advance. So 20's great, and you're going to win a lot of meets jumping 20, but obviously there was kind of that next level of jump, and nothing against Armani or Traxton, but just sometimes you run in a really good competition, but they fought to the end.
Yeah, they did, and they were first and second at CVCs the week before. So you've got a conference champion and a conference runner-up, respectively. They were like 2 inches apart at the conference meet, and then neither of them can like you said. 20-foot jump's awesome, but the Glenville kid's going 22, essentially, 21-11.5. So, yes. It's insane. So,
obviously, the rest of the prelims, then day 2 being tomorrow, obviously, I do expect a lot of CVC athletes between, not only the Perry district, but also the Lakeview district, which I'll be checking out on Saturday, to be at Austintown Fitch next week, to be a part of the, as Chris Lilstrong from the News Herald puts it, the 4 days at Austintown, because, that's how it runs. And, I expect a lot of CVC faces to be out there.
You guys should just get hotel rooms in Youngstown. I've heard it's beautiful this time of year in Youngstown, Ohio. So you get 4 days in a row down there. The D1 is Wednesday, Friday, and we're D2's Thursday, Saturday. So they're 4 in a row over there. And then obviously the top 4 at the regional level. For those of you who don't know, we're hosting the district meet at Perry. Cameron mentioned he's going to Lakeview. That's another district host. So the top 4 from districts will advance to Youngstown at the regional level. And then from that point, it's just another advancement opportunity. You have to be in the top 4 at Youngstown, in order to get to the state meet down in Columbus, which obviously, as we've interviewed a lot of our track athletes here throughout the season, that's their ultimate goal, is to get down to Columbus. And I know we'll have some there, but obviously, some will probably just miss, or they'll be right on the border. It's going to be tight. So I know they're looking to do their best. But like you mentioned, Emily at Meckenbauer, even with the weather yesterday, we actually had two district meet records yesterday. Yeah. The disc, and I can't remember his name, from Gilmore.
It was a Gilmore kid.
Through 174 or something.
Something crazy.
In the disc, and Emily throws 43, which is, again, a district record. And we've been hosting the districts for 14 years, so that goes back a good ways. So she's throwing great, she's looking great, and I know she'll be sort of favored to either win the regional or at least get down to Columbus with a throw like that.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously great 8th grade season last year, I think, making it to states for middle school track, and just kind of, again, like on par with everything, but it's taken another level. Obviously, she mentioned that the shot put is heavier and the distances are farther in high school that you got to reach to win a meet, obviously. But she's risen to the occasion all year long. I mean, went 1-2 in shot discus last week at CBC Championships, falling to Ella Hazler from Geneva, who threw, I think it was just 2 feet 2 inches more than
right
her.
There is close.
And discus, so like she's right there with everybody.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and
sky's the limit right now.
She's a great multi-sport athlete for us too. Like she started. She hadn't played a lot of volleyball. She became a starter for a volleyball team within the first couple of weeks of the season as a freshman. Ended up starting a lot of basketball for us as well. Played flag football for us in the spring. Has obviously her track sort of, that's what she's been known for. She's at every softball game.
Yeah, right.
She wants to play softball. I don't know how we're going to work that out. Coach Carino is probably going to try to work some magic there for next year. I don't even want to think about that. But just a tremendous athlete. So Emily, she'll throw disc on Saturday. Day 2 of the meet is coming up. So we've got all of our pole vaulters going tomorrow. We've got Addie Trevsker. We've got Marley Freeman on the girls' side. The Richards boys, Traxton and McCoy, will go tomorrow. We did not run that event yesterday. The girls were supposed to go, but with the weather, we pushed that out till Saturday. That was the only event that actually got canceled yesterday. So seeing some temps in the 60s and some sun maybe later in the day tomorrow. Hopefully a better day for our track athletes. And then all of our finals, our running events, will go tomorrow at 11:30. That's a timed. We have times for every event. We'll be done by 2 o'clock. Our field events will kick things off tomorrow at 10 a.m. Here with all of our field events going on.
And as a reporter going to a track meet, do you already have planned out, I want to see these 6 individuals or these 6 races or this? How do you plan your day to go and cover? I mean, there's over 25 schools in the CVC, so how do you pick the athletes and the events that you're trying to cover?
Well, last year was my first spring with the CVC, so I was like a deer in headlights, all track last year. I didn't do many. I just did CVC championships. I don't think I did any postseason track. There was a lot of stuff to do last spring. Obviously, the boys pushed into regionals, and we'll get there. But with that first year under my belt, I was coming into between all the other regular season meets. I was like knowing who's there. I'm like, Madison's been at a lot of meets I've been at. Obviously, their throwers go 1-2 and everything on the boys' side. Ryan Radkowski and Bryce Brocker, some of the best throwers, and they got a chance to go. I'm sure they're already on the regionals, punching their tickets. I'm sure states is what's next for them, at least going top 4. And you just kind of know those things, and I guess time, it was reps, right? Learning, just who the athletes are. Obviously, I'm very familiar with the basketball, the football, the volleyball athletes, but not all of them compete in track. So it's learning a bunch of new faces, a bunch of new coaches. But thankfully, obviously, Chagrin Falls is really good at distance. They're good at, cross country and running and things like that. So I knew that did I think that the boys and girls were going to sweep the 4x800 yesterday? No, but I wasn't totally surprised. And, again, business as usual. They do those things, and they're really good at stuff like that. So, credit to them. And it's just, you kind of got to learn things, and, we've seen other meets and just trying to stay in the know as much as I can. Obviously, there's a lot of different things going on at once. So,
is it easier being down with the events going on, up high to see everything? How does that play in?
I stay ground level. I'm ground level for everything. I don't sit in the press box for football. I braved the weather of week 3, Kirtland Perry, and that was a pretty miserable night. But I think I dealt with it, so I can handle anything, right? So I'm ground level for all the outdoor sports. Obviously, basketball sitting in the stands. But yeah, just being in the action is always the best way to, I think, handle that. And, it's easy for me to get place to place, find the coaches that I need, find the athletes that I need, check in with officials, and, make sure that I've got the right information so that when I get into my interviews, I know what I'm talking about.
Okay. And what's your background? How did you know you wanted to get into this, realm of high school, whether it's high school sports, collegiate sports, or you're essentially a sports reporter? How did you decide that was something you wanted to get involved with?
Man, so I wasn't a big sports guy until about 7th grade. I joined basketball back in middle school. Went to Cardinal. Shout out Middlefield. And my love for sports it just took off. I always look back on that time as I didn't get to see the Cavs win the championship. I didn't get to see the Guardians, then Indians, compete in the World Series. I became a fan the season after, unfortunately. But my love for sports grew. At first, I was I loved the numbers, right? It was every morning I was on the NBA app. I was looking about what happened. I was looking at the highlights. I was watching SportsCenter in the morning, just trying to do all the little things, just to know as much as I could because I love sports. I bleed red, but that red is full of sports knowledge and the passion for the love of the game. And 8th grade, my 8th grade basketball coach, Greg Bean, he told me that I should be a statistician. And I was like, That was kind of the first idea. That was the first light bulb that went off. And as time kind of went on, I didn't really understand that seeing the reporters and the analysts and stuff on TV, that was a real thing people did. I knew that they did, obviously seeing it, but it was never really clicked. And when it did, and honestly, one of my biggest inspirations was Fred McLeod. I know a lot of people point to Mike Breen on ESPN and Kevin Harlan, all that stuff. But Fred McLeod on Fox Sports Ohio was the guy I was like, I want to do what you do because he was a lot of fun. Even when the Cavs were bad in 2019, he brought a different kind of energy to the game when they were in the games. Yeah, you thought it was Game 7 of the NBA Finals every night. They were in a game that season, and obviously they weren't in many games that year. But yeah, that was kind of that was when I was like, this is what I want to do. And then it was kind of figuring out, how do I get there, right? Obviously, Kent State. I'm going to be a junior at Kent State, studying journalism, and it's one of the best programs, at least in the nation as far as journalism goes, and obviously kind of in my backyard living in Northeast Ohio, and obviously not as expensive as some of those other bigger schools like Ohio State and things like that. So it kind of fit right. And spring 2023, before I even graduated, I got a little internship with a small company called Believe Land Media. Actually, one of my first ever experiences with Perry was a baseball game between Southeast and the Perry baseball team way back when.
Okay.
So I've been a CVC man at heart since day one. Obviously coming from Cardinal, who was almost no longer a CVC school, but that was the start. And actually, one of my first ever games with the CVC and with Steve in Ohio Varsity was Kirtland and Perry State Championship football games that year. So it kind of moved fast. Moved fast, but I mean, I got rolling, and here I am just taking step by step, picking up some freelance stuff for the Maple Leaf, just to grow my name.
Good. Well, excellent. You mentioned baseball, one of your first events ever, that Perry Southeast baseball game. So let's talk a little Perry baseball right now. We're been in a rain delay for about 24 hours. We're not going to play again today. So we're going to open up our postseason run here tomorrow. So we're taping this. I always try to tell people when to watch it various times. It's Friday. It's Friday morning around 11 a.m. We'll play Saturday at 2 p.m. We host Orange. Obviously, the Pirates coming off a great run last postseason, falling short in that regional final game. What is your prognosis? What are you looking for from Perry baseball here for this postseason run?
I've seen them just once this year against Hawken, conference opponent. Obviously, also in D4 with the aspirations of making a special run, and I think that the Hawks also have the potential to do that, much like the Pirates. But the pitching, it's pretty youthful. I mean, there were some experienced guys in there last year, but they've moved on, graduated. And now you're kind of, there's sophomores and a junior first-time varsity guy and some freshmen in there that are pitching a lot, every week, because it's time to build that now. Because obviously the goal from day one for this team has been the postseason. Obviously, coming off a regional run, that's where they want to get. I know, and I can only imagine that the goal is higher than that for this team. And, obviously you got to lean on the pitching, you got to lean on the defense. It's always good defense. There's a lot of experienced guys in that field, and I can go through the list, but that would take a while, obviously. And to go with the experience is the Bats. I mean, that team, they can put up a lot of runs. They can hang with just about anybody. I mean, Lake Catholic is one of the best Division IV teams, and tooth and nail to the 8th inning.
Right there.
Just some little things in that 8th inning kind of let it get away. But you hung tooth and nail with a team you might have to see in a regional semifinal or sometime soon.
Yep.
So potentially revenge on the mind. I'm sure the players and coaches don't mind that at all. But you just want to go win that game, and they've hung with everybody. And talking about Orange, I mean, this is a conference opponent,
right?
And 2-0 against Orange, and I've always heard this: it is hard to beat a team for a third time. Orange might be ranked 36, but those games were close, right?
They're both 4-3, same exact score, both on our field. So this is game 3 here at Perry, with Orange coming our way, 4-3. We've definitely been able to score runs when we need to this year. Not so much in those games, so we'll see what happens. We'll get their best shot, I'm sure, as they're going to look to advance as well, and they're going to throw their number 1 pitcher at us, and we'll see what happens.
And with 11 all CVC players on the baseball side, how does this lineup compare to some of the other teams in the CVC that you've watched this season?
It's one of the best. I mean, hands down. I mean, you're up there with, Kirtland's obviously got high aspirations in Division 6 for a state run. I mean, they've kind of cooled off a little bit after that, 14-0 start, I think it was. But, it doesn't matter when you cool off. It's when you get hot again. And I think that their time is coming, obviously, to get things rolling with the postseason. That's another good team. But Hawken, another one of those, just stacked top to bottom. A lot of new names for me this season, but I mean, the kids have rose to the occasion consistently, sweeping West Geauga to ultimately win the Chagrin Valley Chagrin Division. Perry came in second. That one loss to Chagrin Falls amidst it was a 14-2 run to close the regular season from April 23rd on. That started just after the loss to Chagrin Falls before rattling off a big winning streak. So, still one of the hottest teams in Northeast Ohio. I mean, Madison's got all the talents. Geneva's got some talent. They got some guys who came back last year from a district championship runner-up team that lost to the eventual Division III champion West Branch, or I believe Division II. So, I mean, there's a lot of great CVC teams. I mean, even Orange. Unfortunately, you get matched up against a team like Perry, who could give you a rough time. But one of the most talented teams across the CVC, undoubtedly.
All right, well, we'll see where we go. I know Coach Platt and the boys will be ready to go and battle it out here and hope to make a nice deep run again. It was fun. The excitement around here, everybody was talking. It was just a fun, great experience for our community, for our kids, and we'll look to duplicate the same. Same can be said for softball, and we play here in about 3.5 hours, 2:30 p.m. on Friday, over at Menor on the turf. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be playing today. But the turf over at Menor should be good to go. Might have to dodge some raindrops this afternoon. But the girls, similar to the boys, are playing a team from the CVC in Edgewood, a team that we've beaten twice, and we get to see them again here for a district championship. What's your take on the Edgewood Warriors versus the Pirates here this afternoon?
Well, it's the second straight CVC team that Perry has had to face. Obviously, district semifinal coming against Jefferson. The two teams split in the regular season, so Perry won the rubber match the other day. I was there for that game, and again, business as usual. That's kind of the key right now for some of these teams. It's just you've been successful all year. Just keep doing what you're doing well, and they did that. Kind of gutted out a little 4-0 win, but the defense was airtight, and Jefferson really couldn't get anything going. I mean, they only had a total of, I think, 4 base runners that entire game, and that's a really talented lineup there, top to bottom, and it's got some youth to it. So their future is bright. But I mean, Edgewood's been, 16-2. Their 2 losses are to Perry this season. And again, back to that, it's hard to beat a team for a third time through. So something's going to give today, right? The first game 11-1 back on April 14th. Second game 6-0. So they closed the gap. Still looking to kind of build some more runs against Perry, but something's going to give. Pitch a lot of shutouts recently, no hitters for Sophie Savon. So something's going to give. I don't know what it's going to be, but I don't think Edgewood wants to go home tonight.
No, they're not going to go away easy. I know our pitching and defense has been spectacular as of late, and we can hit the ball too. We've got several girls on this team that are now record holders for home runs and doubles and hits, and stolen bases and all kinds of stuff. So we can create havoc once we get on the base paths as well. And so it'll be a fun game. It'll be an exciting atmosphere over there today at Mentor. But similar to that, if we win today, we play in a regional semi at a site to be determined. They haven't set those yet. And obviously an opponent to be determined. But first things first, let's take care of the Warriors. Like you said, very impressive record on their standpoint, with only 2 losses coming to the Pirates here. So we'll look to put our best foot forward and get a W and get on to the regional level for the first time. I tried to look it up.
2019.
Okay.
I have the notes. I put it in my story.
Good job.
First district championship potential win since 2019 when they beat the same Jefferson team.
Yes.
Obviously different team.
Yeah.
11-8, May 16th of that year, before falling to newer CVC team Crestwood in a
regional semi.
Yeah, regional. Yeah, and
I was at that district game was actually at Jefferson. That was back when you could play the district games at your home site, and they were the district site, so it wasn't like anything special or anything. But before the tournament started, they were the host site.
Right.
And that game ended on a double play with the bases loaded.
Wow.
Line drive to third base, and the girl took off for home. Emily Sines made a fantastic play and doubled up the girl who took off, and the game ended because if that ball goes, we're probably tied and going at extra innings. So it was an exciting game. So hopefully we don't have that much excitement today. We'll fine. As long as we come out on top, I think that's all the girls will care about today against Edgewood. So best of luck to our softball team, and we'll update everybody next week as we head to what will be our final week of our podcast for the 24-25 school year. Sometime next week, we'll determine a day of when we want to do it and get it out there. We want to go later in the week again to hopefully give as much information as we can where everybody's at as we go. Cameron, looking forward to the fall. So like I mentioned, we're wrapping up the year. We have our last podcast of the year. We have really our baseball, softball, and track teams still in play for hopefully another couple of weeks. But then the summer hits, and now we're really focused on the fall. So let's talk a little bit of football. I know you mentioned the Kirtland Perry game. You were here last year. We have those guys again, week 3 on the road over at Hornet Stadium, week 3. And then we're hosting here. We turn around real quick for the Chardon Hilltoppers week 4. Let's talk a little Perry football and what some of your expectations are for next fall.
Well, I would say that the sky is the limit. Obviously, one of the most talented teams across the CVC and also Northeast Ohio, but there is a pretty big exodus of some really talented players who are going on to play at the next level. Obviously, Walter's going to play at Toledo, and Luke Savon going to play at Akron. So there's kind of an exodus, but the time is now. There's a lot of guys last year. Carter Hopkins, just a sophomore, made a big leap last year and was kind of one of the few backs who got a lot of carries last season. And again, I do expect another jump, and it's. There's guys that gotta fill some shoes. Obviously, some of these shoes are very hard to fill. Yeah. But you gotta rise to the occasion. And a schedule like that, you're gonna find out what your team is made of before you even start conference play. So, the team's kind of, and I don't want to sound kind of demeaning, but the team's kind of got to grow up a little, pretty quick. Like you got to get ready to go. I mean, you got Madison week 1, and traditionally that's a not super close game, but Madison's talented, and their quarterback's solid, and kind of a newer system for them, obviously going pass first as opposed to the one run first tradition that they've been in years past. But you got to grow up quickly. You got to come out. You got to take care of business against one of the rivals in Madison. Then take care of business before week 3, and hopefully maybe you go 2-0 against two
Kenston's
perennial
week
teams.
2. So we host Madison, we host Kenston on the road to Kirtland, come back and host Chardon before we play at Geneva in week 5. So the first 5 games will, with a younger team, as you're going to mention, we graduated an outstanding senior class. We're going to have our current sophomores and current juniors obviously step up in a big way. Yeah. You never know what we can get from our current freshmen as sophomores. Like you said, Carter Hopkins stepped up last year. We're going to need some of that.
Absolutely. Especially
that first 5. I don't know who made that schedule, but he should get fired. Yeah. But anyway, that's what Coach Guswich isn't real happy with me with the whole Chardon thing right now. But it was a great matchup opportunity for us, and we joke around. He'll be ready. He'll have our team ready to go. But it is the first 5 weeks is a brutal, and no disrespect to the teams on our second half of our schedule, but certainly that's as tough as a stretch in all of Northeast Ohio, maybe the entire state, to start things off. So we're going to have to be ready to go and be buckled up, and we'll get a good get a good idea of what kind of team we have after those first 5
Absolutely.
weeks.
Last state championships that you're playing in that team. I mean, obviously, in that stretch, Kirtland's won about $1 billion to this point. Obviously, Chardon had that back-to-back, and then that one back in the 80s and 90s, I'm pretty sure. Obviously, Kenston winning in 2018, and obviously Perry, the 2023 state championship. There's a lot of clash of championships, and that Chardon-Perry game is a bit of a preview of what's to come in 2 years.
Yeah.
That are essentially almost 1 year from now when Chardon, Eastlake North, Willoughby South, and Fairport come to the CVC.
Yeah, we'll have 28 teams in the CVC at that point. Lutheran West just announced that they're going to be leaving the conference, so that just is sort of breaking news. So we'll have 28. Richmond Heights will replace them at the bottom of that because they're a smaller school, and they'll bump everybody up a little bit. We'll have 28 teams. We'll have 4 divisions of 7 in all of our sports, and looking forward to that, bringing those 4 schools. Fairport was part of our deal for a long time, and they're back, and excited to work with Chardon North and South as well, and as part of the CVC. It's truly, it's the second biggest conference in the entire state. There's the Cardinal Conference down in Columbus, has 32 teams, I believe. So it's a tremendous conference, great for our kids and great for our schools and our communities to have some of these. Hopefully we'll build some of these rivalries up. Sometimes we talk about, is this a conference game? Is it not a conference game? There's so many different divisional alignments, but we'll get there, and we're excited to bring those schools in.
Absolutely. I mean, sky's the limit for the entire CVC. I mean, every school's got a program that is good at something, or is getting good at something. I mean, in Cardinal, one of the smallest schools in really all of Ohio, especially Northeast Ohio. I graduated with 72 other people, and that's that's a pretty small senior class, but the volleyball team flooded with current freshmen and sophomores, and I think just a couple of juniors made it all the way to regionals this past season for the first time since I believe the 80s. And the girls basketball team went to the district title game, or won a district title game for the first time since again the 80s. Like every school is good at something in every program, so that just makes my job a whole lot more fun.
Awesome. Well, Cameron, we really appreciate your time today, being with us, and appreciate. I tell this to John Camp and Chris Lilstrong and all of these guys who do a fantastic job covering. We're really very fortunate in our area. I go down, my parents live down in the South Carolina area, and they follow all of this stuff up here, and there's not necessarily the time or the energy or the reporters that do what you guys do to cover our kids, and we're truly appreciative of that. Matt Gould over at the Plain Dealer. All of you guys do a fantastic job, so keep it up. We'll see it. We won't see you tomorrow at track, but we'll see you down the road, maybe at a baseball or a softball game, and we'll certainly see you in the fall. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much, man.
Right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Cameron. All right. Cameron Palmer, CVC reporter, freelancer again, Geauga Maple Leaf, and other publications, does a great job covering Northeast Ohio athletics, and we appreciate what he does.
Yeah, and he'll learn. Well, in this business, he'll learn to love the high school after going and doing some pro stuff. Yeah. He'll die to come back and cover high school with the kids that still love the game and playing for something instead of getting your paycheck and just mailing it in.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. It is refreshing. It's fun. I think that's why we love what we do too, as coaches and ADs and so on. So let's keep it on our spring sports path here. We have our athletes of the week. We're going to interview each of them here. We'll start with Luke Savon and our baseball program. Come on up, Luke. Luke is a repeat athlete of the week. Was here for us back in the fall. We appreciate his time. Luke, welcome back to the program.
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good.
There, you hopefully used that the last time. You get another DQ certificate, free meal deal for a Blizzard, and over at Dairy Queen, we appreciate Marie and crew over at the Perry DQ for always hooking up our athletes of the week. All right, Luke, we just talked with Cameron about some baseball stuff. Obviously, a big game tomorrow. With Orange coming back here for a third time, sectional final game. What are we expecting from the Lions tomorrow as we take them on for game number 3 of this matchup?
It should be a good game. As you know, we won 4-3 both times, and it feels like every time we play Orange, it's always a close game. And I believe last year we were down like 4 runs going into the 5th inning against Orange. We had to come back and win, so it's always a nail biter against them. So we're expecting the same and can't get ahead of ourselves.
Is there an advantage, disadvantage of seeing a team for the third time, knowing them? I'm guessing you're going to see the pitcher that probably threw against you in one of the 2 games.
Yeah, we're expecting to see Neil. He's mid-80s thrower, so we've seen him once already this year. He kind of gave us problems in that one game, but we've got the bats hot right now as we played St. John's, and we got the bats finally rolling again.
Okay, good. Well, hopefully it doesn't take warm weather to get those hot bats going. We're going to be around 60 tomorrow. Rain will be out here. We'll get some sun. We're playing at 2 p.m. Try to give us a chance to get the field ready to go. Hart was out there working on it this morning when I drove by. He does a great job. Speaking of great jobs, though, Luke, you had an unbelievable season. I'll give you some stats here. 435 batting average, 37 hits, 32 singles, 5 extra base hits, 13 RBIs, 31 runs scored, 16 walks, 21 stolen bases. Quite a stat line there. 5-tool player. Because of those stats, you were named first team All-CVC, and then you were also named the CVC MVP for our division. So congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
Great year, great senior year. You had a great year on the football field as well for us, but absolutely fantastic spring. Was the goal at the beginning of the year not to necessarily be the player of the year, but what were your goals at the beginning of the year? Because those stats are pretty darn impressive.
My goal at the beginning of the year was just have a better season than I did last year. And kind of put my team in a spot to make another long run again, as we didn't end up where we wanted to be last year.
Right.
And it kind of a bad taste in our mouth.
Yeah.
And we want to get rid of that this year.
Okay.
And for you as a leadoff hitter, what's your role? What's your purpose? Are you first at bat just looking to take a bunch of pitches? Or are you going to hunt so the guys behind you can see what the pitcher's throwing? What's your approach at the plate?
My approach is kind of just hit the ball, get it on the ground, because if I get it on the ground, I'm going to be safe most of the time. So just getting on base, giving Owen, Cade, Carter an opportunity to score me.
Sort of setting that table. Defensively, Coach Platt, when he was on here a few weeks ago, we're going to have him on next week, raved about the outfield. And obviously, you are that core piece as a center fielder. You cover so much ground out there. But he really raved about our outfield. And how has it been with playing with those guys? You know, Logan was on here a couple of weeks ago. What makes that group of outfielders so special?
For me and Logan, we've been playing the outfield together for 3 years now, and kind of added Carter this year. So me and Logan know the ropes to the outfield, and we kind of had to teach Carter, but he's getting along well, and we have good communication in the outfield, and balls in the gap that normally some people can't get to, we get to really easily.
Yeah, the speed out there with you, again, at center field, covering so much ground, and then obviously Carter, as a running back for a football team, has tremendous speed, and Logan played soccer for another speedy kid. It's hard to get a hit against the Pirates.
Have you always been an outfielder?
Yeah, I'm a lefty, so I can't really play most positions in the infield. So
A lot of people, especially coming up maybe at the younger levels, they think of outfield as being like a demotion. All the kids have to go to play the outfield. Those are the kids that aren't, to the higher standard. But you have succeeded and excelled in that role. What is it about the outfield, or maybe that some advice that you would have for a younger kid that, don't look at outfield as a demotion, because I'm saving a lot of runs. I'm putting my team in a position to win.
Yeah, for a kid that's thinking it's a demotion, it really isn't, because you're kind of like one of the most important people on the team, because like if a ball's in the gap, you can save them from getting extra bases and stuff, and it's really like comes down to like they can be on third instead of getting to home, so it's kind of really important.
And Luke, when did you start playing baseball? Were you a T-baller right from the get-go?
T-ball. So it's
T-ball,
been a while.
4 or 5 years old. So you've been at it 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
What do you think you're going to miss? You're obviously, for those of you who don't know, if you're living under a rock, Luke's going on to play at the University of Akron. He's going to play some football down there. Again, just a speedy, awesome, great receiver. Is going to do great things down there. But you're not going to be able to play baseball. What are you going to miss the most about this sport when hopefully we're playing for another 3 weeks here? But when it's over, what are you going to miss the most?
I kind of feel like I'm going to miss the practices with the team the most, and the team bonding and stuff, because it's kind of like you like look over that kind of stuff, like the practices, and then when they finally go, you feel like you're going to miss them. stuff.
Good.
And we talked about this when you were here for football, but this group of seniors has been together for a long time. I'm guessing that's going to be another part of this as well, where one, you guys want to finish off this run that you guys have been building towards for a couple years now, but again, to not let the guy behind you down that you've been so close with.
Yeah. Our senior class has been around each other for a while now, and we've been playing. Most of us have been on the team for the varsity team for 3 years now, and kind of like haven't got to where we wanted to be at. And I feel like this year we have like the taste in our mouth and stuff, and we just want to get over that.
And Cameron mentioned it when he was on with us. A lot of underclassmen getting a lot of time to shine this year. What have you seen from some of the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors on this team?
Both Carters, Hopkins and Crowfoot, have been a huge piece to our team this year. Carter, he's batting in the 2 spot right now, and he's been a hitting machine all year. And then Hopkins has been a force on the mound for us, being our 2 or 3 pitcher right now.
Yeah.
So those younger guys has really helped us out. Losing Bowman on Pentek last year for pitching and filling in the holes we need.
Who's throwing for us tomorrow?
It should be Cade.
Should be Cade's throwing. Good.
And then
so
probably Gustavo to finish it off.
Okay. Excellent. Well, Luke, congratulations on a great year. Let's talk about this before we let you out of here, too. Again, we've talked about speed. That's always the first thing that comes to my mind when we're talking Luke Savon. So track is also out there. So we do allow it here. We encourage it. We like multi-sport athletes here. We're not Mentor, Ohio, where we have 600, 800 kids in a class. We have 600 kids if we're lucky in our building, so about 130 to 140 a class. So obviously, though, baseball is his main sport. We have a secondary sport. And you'll see him on the track every once in a while. Any plans for this postseason in track? How are we going to try to work this out?
I told them if they make it to next week for the 4x1, I'll be out there.
Okay, so. Awesome. Well, right now they're there. They made it out of yesterday, prelim wise, and but I know we've got some. It's that time of year where you always have. I saw a couple of our athletes yesterday bandaged up. It was McGonnell she was in a wrap. I think we were down a couple of sprinters yesterday. So it's that time of year where sometimes you got to plug and play on these relays and just survive in advance, especially with yesterday's weather. So they're on to the finals in the 4x1. So they got a shot. We'll see what happens tomorrow. You guys are playing at 2. I think they're running at around 1. So we'll know tomorrow afternoon what's going on. But we appreciate the time. Let's see if any of your answers change from the fall. We'll get to know you a little bit with just some off-the-wall questions. Favorite food?
Say right now, burger.
Burger, okay. Anywhere in particular? Any restaurant? Checkers? Yeah, that's a great call. Checkers is severely underrated. Cameron, you should hit it on your way out of here. From Perry, it's right on Route 20. Fantastic. Best burger in this area for sure. Favorite subject in school? Well, school's over for you now, so you're graduated.
Yeah. It would be math, though.
Okay, math. What are you going to major in at Akron?
I'm thinking engineering right
Engineering,
now.
Okay. Math, you'll need some math for that, so that's good. Any favorite movies or shows out there for you?
I like the Rocky series.
Okay, good one. So favorite memory from Perry can be, again, kindergarten. You just walked across the stage last Sunday. You've graduated. When you go to Akron here in the fall, what are you going to remember the most? I'm sure you've got a ton of memories from your time as an athlete here, but what's going to be at the top for you?
It's got to be the state championship. I don't think anything can top that, really.
Yeah, right. I would agree with you. Hard to do it when you're playing in that game, and you had such a huge role in that game with the opening touchdown and all that stuff. It was an awesome day. Let's see. Any hobbies? Obviously, you're very involved in athletics, whether it's on the baseball field, football field, track, etc. Any time outside of that to do anything in particular that you like?
I like to fish. I've been fishing a lot this summer already.
Cool. Awesome. And if you could visit any place in the world, money's not an object, where is Luke heading?
Probably Paris.
Paris, France. All right. Good deal. Luke, awesome. Congratulations on a great career here at Perry on both the baseball field, football, baseball diamond, football field, and we'll see what the track brings us as well. Congratulations. Thanks for being here. Good luck the rest of the year.
Thank you.
All right. Luke Savon, baseball, and potentially some track as well. We'll see what happens there, but certainly a big game tomorrow as we take on the Orange Lions at 2 p.m. here in Perry.
Yeah, as you mentioned, a game that's been getting rained out, but a team that they're familiar with, and then continuing that journey, picking up where they left off last season, getting that bad taste out of their mouth, and trying to make another run to close this out for this senior class.
Definitely. All right, let's bring up Madeline and Falvi. She is our athlete of the week on our girls' side of things here for Perry High School this year. Welcome. Thanks for being here, Maddie.
Thank you.
She's a senior. She's a second baseman for our softball program. Obviously, she's dressed and ready to go for our big game today, 2:30 over at Menor against the Edgewood Warriors in the district final. Maddie was a first-team all-CVC selection and all-district honorable mention as well. She is third in hits career-wise for Perry softball, history of Perry softball. First in singles, tied for fourth in runs and scored, first in stolen bases, seventh in total bases, and fifth in walks. That's program history-wide. That's not just this year. That's the history of Perry softball. And if you haven't been around since the 1970s, I can attest to you. I've lived here since 1976. We've had some really darn good softball programs throughout the years, some great coaches, Coach Sharon Monis, and now her sister's part of our staff. It's been something, I don't know if it's something in the water, but we've had great softball from the mid-'70s on. So fantastic numbers there, Maddie, a fantastic career. How has this year been for you, and are you excited? Obviously, you're excited for the game. What are we expecting today from the Edgewood Warriors?
I'm super excited. It'll be a great game. Obviously, this is the third time we'll play them, so, little nervous there, but
sure.
They only really have one pitcher, so we'll see her for the third time, which is an advantage for us. I think we'll be able to get our bats going and take care of business.
Now, how much do you go back to the previous games to maybe watch film or look at what that pitcher did against you and the rest of the girls?
Yeah, I watch Game Changer, watch that pitcher, watch where the catcher's setting up, if she's missing her spots, where she's throwing me compared to the right-handed hitters. We watch a lot of film.
And are you similar to Luke? I mean, obviously speedy, so you're first in stolen bases in the history of Perry softball. So similar mindset as to Luke, like if you're just putting the ball in play, you feel like you can get on base. No matter if it's just in an infield, obviously if it's going in the outfield, it's probably potentially a double. What's your mentality when you're at the plate?
Yeah, I'm a slapper and lead off, so my goal is to get on base no matter what that means, bunting, hitting, whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, just getting it in play, I'm confident that I can get on base. Yeah.
You guys were CVC champions this year. Was that a goal at the start of the year? Did you guys set goals? Obviously, I know going back to last year, getting knocked out by Gilmore early was something that you guys had on your mind. So was the first step CVC championship and now continuing here in the postseason?
Yeah, for sure. We have a lot of goals, and we're going to take care of business. We're trying to get that district championship, and we're really excited.
So we opened up our postseason play against Jefferson here earlier this week. Took care of the Falcons 4-0. We had split with them earlier in the year. So that was the only CVC loss that we had. Was that a little bit of motivation, or at this point it's just like we need to win in advance, so we just got to take care of the Jefferson team here today?
I think when we played them the second time, we were really hungry for that win.
Yeah.
We had a bad taste in our mouth, and we took care of business then.
Yeah.
I think the third time we played them, we were just going to play our game and do what we do best.
And kind of like we asked Luke, this senior group has been together for a long time. For the six of you, what kind of legacy, what kind of, future impact are you guys leaving to this softball program?
Yeah, there's six of us, and there's some of us have played on the same team. Sometimes we've played against each other, and so, yeah, it's been great to grow up with each other and get better together, and hopefully we made an impact on younger girls and set an example for them.
And you, Roz, and Elise have played travel ball together, so you guys have probably been, that tight-knit group for a little bit longer than the rest. So what do those two mean to you and your development as a softball player?
So much to me. we've all played with each other since we were like 10 or something, and so we've been a big part of each other's growth, and yeah, they mean so much to me.
Well, I know we talk about with you playing second base and Elise playing shortstop. Obviously, Roz is behind the plate, but with you two at the middle infield positions and the speed that both of you guys have, and what you bring to the plate as well. But from a defensive standpoint, so we shut out Jefferson 4-0. We've given up 1 run so far this year in both games to Edgewood. What do you guys like to hang your hat on? You're both fantastic hitters. Obviously, I just went over all of those stats. But from a defensive standpoint, if we don't give up runs, we're not going to lose. So how do you guys approach that? Do you like playing defense more than being at the plate, or are they both the same to you?
I think personally I like being at the plate a little bit more so I can get things going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love defense. I love playing second base with Elise at short. It's fun to be those middle infielders and make plays.
Have you always been a second baseman?
No, I played a lot of shortstop on like my travel team. I used to play third base when I was younger, but always in the infield.
How long did it take you to get used to playing second base, being on the other side of the infield?
Yeah, I think I started playing second base my freshman year of high school, so it was definitely a little different, but pretty much the same thing as shortstop.
So your freshman year, all right, you were a starter. You were playing for us right off the bat as a freshman. You played behind Faith Hartman as a pitcher. This year, we're blessed to have 3 pitchers. We got Sophie Savon, we got Morgan Winters, and we have Maddie Rupert. So any similarities between any of those girls and Faith, but having a little bit of depth for pitching is great. But what has the pitching staff been able to bring to the team this year, where maybe compared to the one year we only had Maddie and she was throwing all of these innings? What has the pitching staff meant to this team this year?
Yeah, this is the first year I think in my high school career that we've had 3 pitchers. Usually we have to rely on 1 or 2, which is difficult in games that other teams are just hitting. But yeah, being able to have 3 pitchers and mix it up. I think today we're going to pitch someone other than Sophie, so that'll be good for because they haven't seen Maddie or Morgan yet.
Right.
So yeah, being able to switch it up and kind of keep the offense on their toes.
And as Mr. Rockwell mentioned, does Sophie remind you of Faith at all? Like when I watch her, I don't know if it's maybe just because they're both a little bit shorter stature. Like they remind me of the same person.
Yeah, I mean, Sophie has a great arm. She's quick. She has a great spin on the ball. So definitely reminds me of Faith, yeah.
And so, again, I mentioned you were playing right off the bat as a freshman for us. You've graduated now. You walked across that stage. We're hopefully playing for the next couple of weeks here as long as we can. What's been the biggest improvement of your game from your freshman year to obviously now closing out your career here as a senior?
I mean, I went through a lot. I tore my ACL my sophomore year, which changed my game a lot. I would say I have a different approach to at the plate now.
Okay.
But I feel like I've gained some confidence. Obviously, when you play as a freshman, you have a lot of pressure on you. It's scary. So yeah, I would say I've gained some confidence in myself.
And kind of the same thing we asked Luke. When it's over, whenever it's over this year, are you going to miss it? I mean, it's something that's been a part of your life for so long.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely the girls, because we've been together for so long. Yeah, I'll miss every second of it.
And maybe this isn't a fair question, but did you feel any added pressure coming here to Perry as a freshman, making your stamp, following what your sister did, following what your dad did, following, your grandfather, who's a legend here? Was there any added pressure, or how do you just be yourself?
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure, I would say. But yeah, just being myself and doing what I do. I'm a slapper, so that's different than what my sister did. So kind of being myself and building my own kind of legacy. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, you come from a great family line, as Jean mentioned. I mean, your dad was my basketball coach here at Perry. I'm sorry, your grandfather was my basketball coach. I played with your dad. So great history here. They have a great history in Perry, a huge Perry family. So I know the feeling a little bit. You sort of feel that pressure, but you've had an outstanding, amazing career, and we're excited for the next couple of weeks here. Hopefully, we keep this thing rolling.
Yeah.
But so you've certainly made your mark, and going to go down obviously as one of our best softball players in the history of this program. Not just this year. I'm not reading those stats just from this year. Those were from like the entire history of Perry softball. So congratulations on a fantastic career, and
Thank
best
you.
of luck here over the next few weeks. We'll get you some get to know you questions here before we get you out of here. Oh, don't forget,
Oh,
you get your
thank you.
certificate. I don't think Coach Carino wants you to eat that before the game. I know we're gonna have team dinner here, team lunch in about 20 minutes. But thanks to DQ for that certificate. All right, let's get to know Madeline a little bit more. Favorite food?
Probably sushi.
Sushi. Okay, that's been a more popular answer
Yes.
this year than I anticipated with kids. Cause
In the second half.
in the
of
second
yeah.
half of the things, it's been popular. I'm not a fish guy, so I don't get it. But where do you like to go? Is there a restaurant that does it the best?
The restaurant in Madison, I don't think it's
Okay.
Young's anymore, but I
Okay.
just get it from like Lucky's Market or
Okay.
Giant Eagle too.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay, excellent. Favorite subject in school?
Probably science.
Science.
Yeah.
And you're going to study nursing, I believe,
Yes.
right? Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite movie or television series, show?
Probably Friends.
Okay.
Just a classic.
All right,
yeah.
very classic. Favorite memory? Again, you got a lot of them, whether it's youth, rec, middle school, high school. Again, you've graduated. We're in our postseason. What are you going to take away from here as some of your top memories from being involved in our athletic programs?
There's so many. I don't
Yeah.
think I could pick, but definitely our team trips. I feel like
Okay.
those really make us bond.
Yeah, that bonding, that
Yeah.
opportunity. I love them. It's a great opportunity to sort of get outside of the normal day-to-day stuff, and you guys now you're with the team for 24 hours. You're eating, you're sleeping, you're practicing, you're playing. It's a great experience for our team. So that's awesome. Any hobbies outside of athletics?
I love reading.
Yeah.
Pickleball.
Pickleball is
Tennis.
becoming popular.
Yeah.
More and more popular. Where do you play? Do you go to Menor?
Well, I usually just play by the lake.
Okay,
in Perry
yeah,
Park.
at Perry
usually
Park.
just in the summer.
Yeah, that's right there. They've got a couple of courts down there. They're putting another one in Lee Leidick Park, so there'll be one here
nice.
in Perry Village in a little bit. So hopefully this summer. If you could visit anywhere in the world, money's not an object. Where is Madeline going?
Probably Italy.
Italy.
Yeah.
All right. Maddie and Falvi, she is our second baseman for Perry softball. She's got a game here in about 2.5 hours, 3 hours. So thanks for taking the time on game day to spend some minutes with us, and we appreciate it. And best of luck with
Thank you.
everything that you do, Maddie. All right.
Thank you.
Maddie and Falvi, second baseman, Perry Pirates.
Yeah, another one, and as you rattled off the stats that she had, again, to be able to accomplish what she has in just 3 seasons.
Yeah,
or,
right.
2 and a quarter. It's amazing the run that she has put together here as a Perry athlete on the softball diamond.
Oh, for sure. Because if she had that extra year, I think you would see her being at first in hits for sure. She's already first in singles. She would have been first in runs scored. She's already first in stolen bases. May not have gotten the total bases, but she's been close. It's just an incredible career, and extremely proud of her and this team and where we're at and playing in a district final. It's not to be taken lightly. As Cameron mentioned earlier, our first district appearance since 2019, and we got that one done against Jefferson, not in the CVC at the time. We'll take on Edgewood, who wasn't in the CVC in 2019, but they are this year. And as we've said, we've seen them twice. They've scored a total of 1 run. So I'm Coach Carino won't see this or hear this until after the game. I'm going on record. We're winning today. We're going to give up. We're going to win 7-1 is my prediction. Edgewood will find a way to squeeze a run across, but I think our defense and our pitching has just been too good against Edgewood the entire year. And as Maddie said there, we've seen this pitcher now for the 3rd time, and that's going to be advantage for us offensively. So I think the Pirates win in advance to the regionals for the first time since 2019.
And for some of these girls, even last year, I know Lou's been the pitcher there for a couple seasons now. So you could go back to even last year when Perry had, I think they split last season, and maybe even into their sophomore years too.
Yeah. So exciting times here at Perry High School. We've got. Let's recap. Softball today at Menor, 2:30 against Edgewood, district final. We have baseball tomorrow, home against Orange, sectional final game. And we've got district track here tomorrow. Field events at 10 a.m., running events at 11:30. They'll end right at 2 o'clock, so you can head right over from the track over to the baseball field and catch catch the sectional game against the Lions.
And I don't know, we might have mentioned it, but it's worth repeating again. But
Yep.
all of these regionals, sectionals, districts, all need tickets to
They
attend.
do. So, we're very fortunate here. I think, you can buy bulk tickets here. You have passes. You've got this. You've got that. All of these are OHSAA contests. They are no longer games that while we are running them, we don't get the revenue from. It goes to the state. So these are all events that you need a ticket to. So you can buy them online. You can buy them at the gate when you get there. Makes no difference there, but that you will need a ticket. Even students need a ticket. So we have a great policy here, and hats off to our administration and our Board of Education for supporting this. When we came out of COVID 5 years ago, we made the decision to offer for our kids 9 through 12 to attend every athletic event for free that they want to. And so that's fantastic. I think it helps us tremendously. It gets a little tough in the postseason because they're not used to having to pay, but it's $5 for a kid. So for a student, $5. An adult ticket is $8 at all of these events.
Yeah, and another great day to come out today, tomorrow, support the Perry athletes as they continue their journey here in this postseason.
Yeah, it'll just an exciting weekend. We've got so much going on. It's busy, but it's fun. And we'll be back for week 37. It'll be our last podcast of this school year. But we'll hopefully we'll see if softball wins today. They play again on Wednesday of next week at 2 p.m. Footnote to that: it's supposed to be our Spring Sports Awards night. So if we win today, we will not have that event next Wednesday. We've got to figure that out. Do we come back and do it the first week of June when no one's around, we're out of school completely, or do we just have the teams do it? We'll make that decision and let everybody know. But if softball wins today, and we'll communicate that via email. I don't expect people to have to listen to the podcast for that information, but we'll get that out to everybody as soon as we have a final decision on that and we know what softball does. But baseball would play on Tuesday in a district semifinal game. And softball Wednesday. Track regionals will be at Austintown Fitch Thursday and Saturday of next week. So still busy times. We'll probably go later in the week just to give some opportunities to give updates on those teams, and we'll probably corral Coach Platt, Coach Carino if they win, maybe even Coach Richards, and do those three coaches next week and get as much info out there as we can.
Yeah, again, an exciting time here as we're finally down that final stretch of not just the sports season, but the high school season as well. So a lot going on over the next 2 weeks.
Yep. All right, Gene, thanks for being here as well. Thanks to our guest today, Cameron Palmer from CVC, Ohio Varsity, Geauga Maple Leaf, and then our two athletes of the week, two great seniors for us, baseball and softball. They'll be playing in the next 24 hours here, and we'll try to keep everybody updated on Twitter as to what's going on with those events. Until next week, for our final week of the school year, go Pirates.